Hi everyone, Vic Micolucci here with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and today we are talking about a big topic, literally and figuratively. We are talking about the budget when it comes to your public safety here in Duval County. So it is in the news a lot. You've probably read about it and heard about it, but today we are going to break it down in the spirit of transparency for all of our tax dollars. So I want to introduce you, even though he needs no introduction, to Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters, as well as JSO's Chief of Budget, Chief William Clement. Thank you both for breaking this down. For me, some of this stuff is new as well, coming from the news world, getting to see how this is made. Sheriff, a big budget request, about $631 million, and people have questions, where does that money go?
Yeah, so it's there's a lot. There's over 80% is salary and benefits, and I think that's very important for people to know. I don't want people to think that we get money and we spend it recklessly. Our employees are paid; they deserve to be paid. They deserve to be paid as well as we can pay them. So that's a big part of it. I'm gonna let Bill get into some of the details about that, but I think it's very important, Vic, for us to let our community know where we spend our dollars and why it is what it is, why the amount is what it is.
And your tax dollars are hard at work. I think, you know, if you watch the TV shows, you would say, oh, what do they need? They need to pay the police officers, they need the cars, they need the guns. Well, having worked here, we know that there is so much more, especially in times when we rely so much on technology, when we have to make sure that our personnel is trained to the top of the standards and to make sure that they're safe. So Chief Clement, let's talk to you. So a big part of this that people have questions about is discretionary budget. First of all, what does that even mean?
So, you know, from our perspective, discretionary means that the budget is not tied to a specific contract or a specific person. So, like the sheriff said, about 81% of our budget is salaries and benefits. And then we have about 14% that we would consider non-discretionary, and that's your internal service charges from your city, your insurance, workers' compensation, and then things like we have a lot of professional service contracts, mainly for our inmates, guard service, food service, inmate health care. So really, there's a very small portion; it's less than 5% that's discretionary. And while this stuff is budgeted for a specific purpose, it's not tied to a contract. But this can be anything from our ammunition, our training for our officers, body armor, things of that nature.
And I know that a lot of times officers have to work on overtime. If something big is happening, if there's an event, if there's some sort of security concern, you have to bring in overtime. How do we stand when it comes to that in the budget? I know that's a lot of money.
Yes. The overtime budget for the Sheriff's Office is fairly sizable. It's rolled up into the 81% of the salaries and benefits. And overtime, it's kind of handled it a couple of different ways. Some of it's based on historical, like what do we historically spend, in these areas for investigations or, in the corrections for backfilling vacancies. But then we also have like our special events overtime where we specifically budget the number of officers to staff each event so it's safe.
So Sheriff, we've got something and we're going to show it right now on the screen, and this is a breakdown, a pie chart showing exactly where all of this budgetary money goes.
Sure.
So nearly half goes to the salaries, so 48.25%. And then employee benefits sucks up nearly a third of the total piece of the pie with nearly 33%. And then you have some other pieces right there. I think it's important to point out, you obviously have the patrol officers, and that's the public-facing part of the agency. But there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes.
The agency is so much more than just patrol. And patrol is one of the, if not the most important part of what we do every day. You pick up the phone, you call the police are expected to be there and be there in a timely manner. But we have air units, we have vehicles, we have maintenance that we have to do on all those different things. We have technology, we have computers, we have cellular phones to help us stay connected while we're out. Long gone are the days of going to a police a call for service and writing a police report. Those days are gone. Things have changed that drastically, and those things cost. Then we have computer programs that are necessary to help our investigators, our investigative department. We talked about overtime just a second ago. You can't go to a call, and when my shift is over and say, okay, I'm done, I'm leaving. You're not, that's a dereliction of duty. Two, you'll probably get in a lot of trouble if you do something like that. And three, we're expected to work these cases and work them until they're finished. So there's so much involved. Community engagement section, narcotics section. Just a lot of areas, Vic. I could sit here all day and name the different things that are here.
Sure, and corrections.
Corrections
is a big
is a
piece
huge,
of the pie.
It's a huge piece of the pie. There's over 700 correction officers there working right now, and those the things that they're involved in. We have people at the pretrial detention facility, our community transition center, the prison farm. We run all those buildings. We run all that stuff, and we take care of every single bit of it.
So Chief, right here we have the documents, and we're not going to make the general public go through it. There's a lot of numbers, there's a lot of details in here, but long story short, we have the 2023-2024 fiscal budget, and then the proposed 2024-2025 budget. What are the big differences that we could see here?
So for the most part, the budget that we submitted to the City Council is a relatively flat budget. What you'll see as far as in the mayor's proposed budget, there is an enhancement. We've added 40 police officers. But most of the changes that you're seeing as far as year over year, they're kind of tied to our contractual services related to inmate health care. And then there's a lot, the pension costs went up, and then some city internal service charges went up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, Jacksonville most recently moved up the chain. Now the 10th largest city in the United States, the most populous city in the state of Florida. We have nearly 1 million people that this agency serves. Tell me about the cost that comes with that. Obviously, you can't keep the same amount of resources when you have that many people growing. That's just common sense.
Listen, if we were to stand pat with where we are, we're going to fall behind. And recognizing when I came into office that the agency, the city is growing. The city is growing, and it's no longer. It's not just densely populated, everyone in the center of the city. There are parts of the city that are completely, a lot further out than they used to be. The only way we grow is we grow out, and we have to cover those areas. So that was why my ask for 40 more officers, and quite frankly, that's not quite enough. We're going to have to ask for more in the future. Mayor discussed 200 over the next 4 years, over her term, and that would be accurate. But with the growth, we're going to need more than that also. So this is an issue that I think people want to be safe. I think our city wants to be viewed as a safe city. And then for our city to continue to grow, whether it be businesses and people coming here to live, it has to be safe. Mm-hmm. And it's our responsibility to bring it to the city, talk to the people of our community and let them know this is why we're spending money, this is where the money is going, and this is why I wanted to do this. I think it's very important for us to explain to our community members where we're spending that money and why we're spending it.
And the money doesn't just magically appear.
No.
It goes through the mayor's office. Mayor Donna Deegan has said that it is a big priority for her to make sure that the sheriff's office is well funded. It also goes through city council. Can you explain that process? Because right now, at the time of recording this video, we are going through that process.
100%. And Bill, I'll let Bill explain the actual process of how it works. He can do a lot better job of it. I know it, but he can explain it better.
He's our expert.
Yeah, this is my actually 16th budget, so I've been doing this for quite a while. So just to back up for a minute, so the budget process, really starts. It starts for us really early in the year, but we have to submit our proposed budget to the mayor. It's typically around the mid to end of April, and then we'll meet with the mayor's office in early June, kind of go over the preliminary budget and any changes. Then the mayor will present her budget to the council around the middle of July, and that just happened this past Monday. And the sheriff's budget is actually part of the mayor's submitted budget. And then we will go in front of the finance committee probably the first week of August to discuss our budget in front of them, and then the council will pass the final budget the last week of September.
And what has it been so far when you've been dealing with the city, dealing with our elected officials? What has the support been like?
The support has been very strong from both the mayor and the council so far with regards to the budget. So we're optimistic that we'll be able to get everything we need for the next fiscal year.
Sheriff, I know that you're always saying this around the office, always improving. We're always improving. What does the future look like a few years down the road to always improve and make sure that we do provide all of the police services necessary to make sure that every single Jacksonville citizen, not just some of them in certain neighborhoods, but every single person, east, west, north, south, feels protected?
Well, future, moving out of this building to a different place, one that's where we're not going to see down the line us having to spend $200 million for a new police administration building. So that's one thing in the future. But the biggest thing is the growth of the agency itself and how we're doing business. I want to bring response times down. I want to make sure you call, you don't have to wait for an unreasonable amount of time for a police officer to show up. I want to make sure that we have enough police officers to patrol communities and neighborhoods all around this city so that we have a chance to stop and talk to people in our communities, in our neighborhoods, to get closer, continue to get closer. The biggest goals are to make sure our city is safe, keep the crime rate down as best that we can, and make sure folks just feel comfortable and love the city that they live in.
I know that we have been looking at the numbers. We look at the numbers daily here at JSO, and we're seeing a lot of positive fruits of the labor of the men and women of this agency. Right now, we're looking at about a 40% decrease in homicides year over year. Violent crime is down. Almost every major crime across the city is down. That's got to be promising.
Very promising. So we hope, and it's my hope, that, and I'm cautiously optimistic, that we'll continue to see that downward trend. I know we're going to do everything that we can from where we sit to make sure that goes down. But I also think the community is going to buying in a lot more. I think the community sees my absolute positive need and desire to get them as much information as possible, to show as much as possible, which is a big reason why Vic Micolucci is here, to help us do that. And starting this process where we sit down and we talk, and eventually hope that we'll get to a situation where we can have questions come in and answer them, while we're doing these things, so that we can talk and we can move into a city where they have complete 100% trust in their elected officials, in their police department, sheriff's office, and just be the best that we can be.
It is all about building that trust in that community.
100%.
I've got to say, I didn't think when I got hired here that I'd be sitting here talking about the budget. It's not necessarily
No, it's not
the most exciting video that we're
not.
making, but it's important because at the end of the day, taxpayers are spending their hard-earned money. We know that times are challenging for a lot of people. Their hard-earned money is going to work, and I think it's very interesting and it's very helpful to see how it is being spent, and these breakdowns are going to be publicly available so people can look at them line by line as well. We're going to wrap things up soon, but I do want to ask you, Chief, it's been in the news. A lot of people have talked about the raises for officers and other members of the agency, which will help with recruiting. I know that's a big thing across the country. Everybody is really fighting for good talent. How do those raises play into the budget that we're looking at right here?
So the raises for the police and the corrections have not been loaded into this budget. The mayor has budgeted them into a contingency. I believe there's $68 million budgeted for raises for the upcoming fiscal year for police, corrections, and civilians. So we haven't been provided that breakdown yet, but once we get that, we'll definitely share it.
All right. So, Sheriff, anything else that you want to let people know as we continue to honor our commitment to transparency and just let people know a little bit more about what goes on inside JSO HQ?
I just want our community to know that we're going to continue to do this. We're going to continue to share as much information as possible. And we want you all to be completely engaged in what it is we're doing and understand where the dollars are going. That's very important for us.
That's great. Chief Clement, Sheriff Waters, thanks for your time.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Thank you.